Here at Lundine's Tackle Castle with Bill Lundeen. It is Wednesday, May 20th.
Good morning.
And it's windy out there.
Oh, it's terrible windy. It's just like living in Dakota.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop anymore. If it doesn't come from the northwest, it comes from the south. And yesterday it came from the east. We get wind every day, and we're going to make the best of it.
All right. What do you do when you have a windy day and it's hard to get out there on the main lake?
I love the bobber fish. I think if we can take advantage of that wind and get into, use it for our purpose to keep that action going, keep your slip bobber and your leech down there in the zone, I think we can use that. Now, is there such a thing as too much wind? Yes, I think there might be, but we want to still keep this fun, because that's why we all went really the first time. Let's keep this fun. Let's get into a moderately windy area and let that wind help our slip bobbers to go across the right spots, and we can pull those walleyes in.
Okay. What kind of depth are we talking about? Maybe morning, midday, evening?
We've seen most of the bite during the midday, or your later morning, come somewhere in that 17 to 22 feet. Part of that has been in this area over here on the north end sand. You've got an area here by Fishers that's been pretty decent through that period. Another one up by Carl Sona. Some of the folks are right out in this area here by the Weltwood access. These have been good areas. Now, slip bobber, maybe not. Maybe we want to be rigging these areas. There again with the long snell and your leech. But I like that 17 to 22 foot depth in these areas during the daytime, if the wind will allow you to do that. If we're going to bobber up, maybe we look at something like Sherman's Point here. Mozambique Point has finally started to kick out a few fish. And also this area here by Shaw's Reef. These are areas that we can go into, during your daytime. We want to be maybe on the heavy side of that 12 feet. During the evening, I would slide up somewhere in that 8 to 12 feet.
Okay. And you're talking medium-sized leech still?
Oh yeah, we don't want to oversize your leech yet. This is, a good, legitimate, large leech is fine. I don't think you need to go any bigger than that.
You go with a plain hook, or do you like a colored jig head or colored hook? Or?
I like some color down there. Now, whether we go with the colored hook, which there's all kinds of colored premium hooks out on the market now, with the chemically sharpened points, or with the honed points. Either a colored hook, or take your plain hook and put a bead above it. It's a cheap solution into getting a splash of color down there.
Okay. Any crankbait type action this time of year?
We have seen a little bit of action on the guys in these really shallow areas with like a husky jerk or a ripstick, the little bit longer bait. But we don't want to stretch, there again, we don't want to stretch it out too much. We're looking for something in that, maybe a size 11, size 9. Let's keep it below that. We're going to save the 13s and up for later on in the season.
Yeah, okay. And give me some ideas for bass opener this weekend.
Bass opener, a lot of your bass are going to be tucked back underneath the docks here in Cove Bay, Waukon Bay, Isle Bay. You're going to see some activity up here toward Flagship. In Twin Bays, a lot of these fish are on what everybody likes to call, they're on the beds. And on the beds is a great place to catch bass because they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Now, every year you get into this whole ethical dilemma. Well, are you upsetting the balance because they're trying to protect their young, or they're trying to produce their young in these areas? Everybody you ask is going to give you a different answer. And I would certainly be one to weigh in on it too. I'm never short of an opinion. That's where you'll find them, but ask yourself before you go in there and upset that area. Is this the best thing to be pulling these bass off of the beds? And only you can answer that question.
Yeah. Is there another place this time of year where they're not vulnerable or not on the spawning beds where you can catch bass?
Typically, they got one thing on their
That's
mind
it right now. Yeah. And how long does that last?
Well, we'll get a couple weeks out of it.
Okay.
Let's say they started a week and a half ago. This will start to wrap up here as soon as our water temperature gets up and begins to approach 60 degrees. They'll get off of those beds, and then we're going to start finding them on some of these shallower rock reefs. Zomni, Anderson. Indian Point is a great area for smallmouth. You know, and then you've got Twin Islands over here. Hawkville is a good area. This whole area over here by Folks Point and Spider and Gull Reef.
Some guys say you just go around and fish the buoys. Just look for the buoys and.
Very true. The county has done most of your work for you. They've identified a lot of these shallow areas. If you did nothing other than fish the red and white marker buoys, I'd have to believe you're going to have a success.
And what's one of your favorite bass baits for Mille Lacs?
I like just a smaller tube jig. If we get into something now, you can go with the scented or the unscented, but something in the color is going to be dictated by the day. Sometimes they like that darker color. There's a new one that's been out for a couple of years, this peanut butter and jelly that's just been hotter than heck.
Really?
I don't know. When I retire, I'm going to get the job of picking the names of these baits. But you know, your traditional, the yellow, the white, and then some of the darker motor oil type colors are always good. And then as we can stretch those baits out, you get into something on the order of a Senko or a sinking minnow, a little bit longer jerk type bait.
Okay. Anything special about rigging those up?
You're going to want to have them on a big hook. You know, a lot of folks will just use that, you know, that offset hook, something on that order. The traditional bass worm hook, maybe not so much. We'll probably leave that for the worms, and then we're going to pull in line. One of the things that's really come on in the last couple of years is something called wacky style, where they just simply take that hook, they run it right, if your bait is like this, they'll run it through near the center of a long bait, and as that goes along, the ends are kind of flexing like this. Wacky style has really taken off in the last, let's say the last 2 years. Okay.
Have you seen it work out here?
I have. Yes, it works well.
All right, that's good for today. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. See you soon.
See ya. All right, that works good. Now I just have to see if I can...
You got a new camera.
Yeah, this thing...